Am I the only one on his phone?
Probably.
Yeah.
My front-facing camera is trash.
Oh, well.
Doesn't work. Yeah, what are you gonna do?
What can you do? So Marvel, right? What's up with this? All this news is just dropping.
Yeah, it definitely felt like they were trying to one-up DC with their Thunderdome. Now or Fandome, actually. And now all of a sudden, Marvel unloads the big guns and a lot of surprises that I did not expect.
I know.
The whole Disney, reveal, just the Star Wars, the Marvel, the Disney, the Pixar, was incredible. I mean, they took the next 5 years of what they wanted to do and gave it all to us and just shoved it right in our faces and said, here, this is what we're going to do. This is what we want. This is where we're going to go. Here it is. And I loved it. I thought it was great. I think the presentation was awesome. It's something that we needed to end the year on.
Yeah, I think as crappy as this year has been, and we have really nothing that's come out, everything got pushed back to next year in 2022. They owed it to us to kind of get us more excited and pumped up, get Disney Plus. And I think the big thing that stood out right away was that they're very selective with what's going out in the theaters and what's going out on Disney Plus. So there wasn't this whole deal like with Warner's coming out and saying, "Oh, we're going to release all of our movies the same day on HBO Max." Like they pretty much shut that down right away.
Wait, you're saying? Oh no, I'm sorry. You're saying that HBO retracted that statement, or they didn't?
No, they didn't. It's still like a crap show right now, just with. Gal Gadot got paid $10 million to say, "Oh, the deal's great," but they didn't tell any of the other filmmakers that HBO Max was doing this deal. So Chris Nolan's pissed off. The guy that made Dune is pissed off, and it really puts them in a tough spot. But they're like, "This is the new way. This is the new business, and we're going to roll with it." Pandemic be damned.
Well, Tom and I both said last week, we were talking about it, and he texted me. He was like, "Yo, we should go see Wonder Woman in the theater." And I agree. I don't want to give up my theater experience.
I love that experience. It's nostalgic. It's like, it's like going to theater, and you can't replicate the huge room and the huge screen and just the audiences. Everyone's first time seeing this particular movie, and you can't imitate that. I mean, the closest you could have gone was maybe create like a secured server and have everyone throw on an Oculus or some sort of VR, and then suddenly they're in a virtual movie theater and they all tune in and watch a movie from the comfort of their own home, which is great, but that's as close as the experience you would have gotten. And I love that experience. Me and Albert, we're probably going to go see Wonder Woman, and I don't care if I have to wear an N95 mask.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. My thing about that is, to use it, being that we're talking about Marvel, to use a Marvel movie as an example, when Captain America in Endgame gets, is able to wield Mjolnir, it's not that scene in general will give you goosebumps, but it gives you legit goosebumps when you hear like the authentic first time theater reaction that comes along with it. And so it's not just like me and like two of my friends sitting next to me on my couch fanboying out. It's 100 people at the same time. And I love that experience.
It's that herd mentality that we'll be missing out from. And it's a shame. It's like me and Christine went to buy some running shoes just last week. I bought it for her for Christmas. And it's like we were talking about virtual marathons. And it's like, what's the point? You don't have that whole herd mentality to keep you going. And I feel like the movie theater experience is exactly that, That's what you
Well, yeah. I mean, for us, anytime there's a Marvel movie that comes out, I know with my buddy Guy, when Star Wars comes out, like we all get together, we go to AMC, we get our tickets, we get our food, and it's like a big event for us. Mm-hmm. So I think theaters are not going to go.
Three of us went to go see Spider-Man in the city. We went all the way to the city to go see Spider-Man because that's how important it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, for us who grew up on the experience, I mean, we don't want that to go away. I mean, I think the draft houses and, most of the other multiplexes will probably be able to survive, especially now we have a vaccine and, we're starting to round the corner little by little. But at the same time, what I fear is by Warner Brothers doing what they're doing, that people are going to slowly get used to that. If they get Wonder Woman at home, they may decide, well, you're not having to pay extra. You just paid the one subscription price. Why even bother go and pay, $15, $17, $20 to go to the theater and deal with some jerks that are going to be on their phones, pay extra for concessions? That's what I fear is going to kill the theaters. And, and especially as the generation is changing, you're going to probably have more of those kids who look at their screens and don't go out and play. They're going to get used to that.
I agree. I mean, look, there's something to be said about the fact that this might lead to more people, installing home theaters, which might, but again, now we're getting into the only way you get a real, honest to God theater experience is if you're rich. And again, that's not fair to, to everybody. So people like us who are, who don't have the money or the space to do things like that lose out on that, which is why for me, I love, and it's funny because Tamara actually said it earlier this year. She said, this has got to be the first year of your life you've never been in a movie theater. And I thought about it and I said, since I was, and you two guys, we've been friends since we were in high school. That was what we did. We would hang out. We would go to the movies. Like we had nothing else to do. Okay, there's such and such a movie's on. Even if we don't care about what movie it was, $10, $15, we got to sit there and just hang out. It was a place. It was something to do. It was a place to go, and I miss that.
Right.
And she's right. I haven't been in the theater this entire year, and it hurts.
It did hurt, and we missed out on a lot of films. That should have been out by now. But.
Oh, totally. I mean, the fact that we had to wait for so long to get Black Widow, to get Eternals. Eternals was supposed to come out last month, and we didn't get it. So. Thankfully, as we saw with the rollout, that, this is not going to be like when Disney Plus first hit, where you got Mandalorian in season 1, and then you got nothing for the rest of the year, unless you're like a huge Disney fan like Albert and you watch everything. But now they've made clear they're pumping stuff out like almost every week with different shows and different, even small projects. Like, I mean, hell, we're getting a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, which is going to be insane.
I love that.
They're going to pump stuff in.
Yeah. Well, hey, now that you mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy, how do you guys feel about the recent news that Star-Lord is I don't know if it's true or not, that apparently they wrote it into the script that he's bisexual or something?
All right, here's the thing. I don't have a problem with it. If it's not just a publicity stunt, just to feel. And Andre used this word actually, so I'm gonna take it from you because me and you had this conversation the other day. If all these places, Disney in itself isn't trying to just feel woke and trying to do this to appease to certain people.
Right.
If there's a reason for it, if there's hey, we're in the middle of this. He is bisexual. He's, he meets Gamora, and now Gamora, obviously, we know she isn't the same Gamora that fell in love with Peter Quill, or she is, but she doesn't know it yet. And now he meets somebody else, and he starts, it's like a love triangle kind of situation. Okay, then it's relevant to the story. If it's not relevant to the story, and they're just shoehorning it in there, just to be like, oh well, Star-Lord's bisexual, like that. To me, that doesn't do it. It doesn't make a difference. It's the same thing. Andre and I had this conversation a while ago about the in pro wrestling. There's a girl who is a lesbian, and she wanted a storyline with her best friend. And I thought, and I always said, well, I don't like the fact that it would be like, okay, here's our lesbian character. Let's build a lesbian storyline around her. It should be organic. Like her best friend shouldn't, she shouldn't be falling in love with her best friend. That's not something that, from what I understand, most gay people experience. They respect the boundaries of their friends and say, hey, my friend is straight, so I'm going to respect the fact that my friend isn't sexually attracted to me. And I don't want things to just be shoehorned in just to make just to be inclusive. If you want to do it the right way. Make the story right so it properly represents everybody who's LGBTQ plus.
I agree with that whole statement. Absolutely. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I don't care. I mean, I'm pretty sure in part 1 he spoke about having sex with like a few different aliens. I mean, even his father has had sex with like hundreds of aliens. I'm not so weirded out that he banged another guy, if that's the thing, in the script.
Yeah.
Whatever. Who cares, By all means, just show me the movie. I don't care if there's a kissing scene between two guys. Is it a good movie? Okay. That's it.
I agree.
Yeah, I think I was more freaked out in Guardians 2 when he shows like all the different creatures he hooked up with that he tried to have a kid with, and then they all end up in skeletons.
Yeah.
No,
I thought right? Even for like a movie produced by Disney, that's pretty damn heavy for a kid to see.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, granted, they were all dead kids also,
Dead kids, and then saying how he killed Star-Lord's mother.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of pretty colors to distract the kids.
Yeah.
It's like when
I
you go
guess
to
so. Just giant trees and talking raccoons.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
giant trees and talking raccoons. It's distracting.
Oh man. So
now that we're talking about all this, what's the one thing that you guys were most pumped about hearing?
Well, even though, go ahead, Tom.
No, Andre, you first.
Well, the one thing I'll say, just to kind of get out the way, even though it was only, it was said that it was happening, but they didn't really get into it because of studio issues. But the third Spider-Man movie and the fact they're doing the live-action Spider-Verse, that has me very intrigued.
I'm very pumped for it.
To be bringing back Toby, to be bringing back Alfred Molina, to be bringing back Andrew Garfield. Like, I mean, these, and we already know that Jamie Foxx, I think, is already returning as Electro, right? Was that not? That was already said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so we're legitimately world building, and I love that. That's awesome.
About time.
Yeah, and I mean, just with all the excitement, I know people get concerned when they hear, this villain's coming back, it's going to be this actor, and that Spider-Man movie wasn't so hot, why are they even bothering with it? But it's my understanding that some of those roles are going to be more cameos than just like they're going to be in the entire movie, and that really they're doing Endgame for Spider-Man. This is going to be like building up to a third act where you'll probably see all the different Spider-Men come together, and no doubt there's going to be all kinds of different twists to the previous Spider-Man movies. So I do think like Gwen Stacy's death is going to be somewhat undone, and she's going to be Spider-Gwen. I think they're going to try to tie up loose ends, like find out who the mystery man in the hat from Amazing Spider-Man is. Maybe he gets tied in. They do the Sinister Six.
That's essentially, yeah.
It's still going to be Tom Holland's movie. It's going to be his story and interweave the Sony-verse characters into the MCU. So kind of Morbius and then anybody else that they bring in after that.
Right. I mean, I'm sure they'll do great. I'm still waiting for Madam Web to appear because I'm assuming she would be the catalyst to this world jumping. But from what I hear, Doctor Strange is going to be in the movie, so he may fill that role rather than introducing Madam Web entirely. So she's probably out. They're just going to make Doctor Strange the sorcerer that is the go-to guy, for any world jumping or whatever have you, whatever magic Marvel has. Because I don't know, for some reason in the beginning, the MCU had an issue with magic. Mm-hmm. I've noticed, which is why Iron Man 3 was set up that way. At least I assume that's why it was set up that way, because it didn't tie in. It's like it's a technology movie, and then you got this guy coming in with rings, and he turns into a dragon. It probably wouldn't have flowed that way, so I guess that's why they went that route. with
Well,
the
that was
bacon.
always from phase one. I mean, with the first Iron Man movie, you know, like when Jon Favreau was directing, he wasn't thinking about, oh, we're going to bring in Captain America, bring in Thor. He just concentrated on Iron Man and making it where the technology felt like it could be in reality.
Right.
But once you bring in those characters, like when they brought in Thor, that completely shell-shocked everything. It's like, okay, there's another universe out there, and we're not the only ones. So that made it easier to little by little bring in the Guardians, bring in Ant-Man, bring in Doctor Strange, and just, you know, go about that. Right.
Yeah.
And then make the threat on Earth much more bigger and the stakes higher for somebody like Tony Stark to get more paranoid. And, you know, stuff that even now, after his death in Endgame, that it's going to probably backlash without him being around.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about how much it should reverberate in the Marvel universe that Tony's idea was, you know, hey, we have these otherworldly invaders, a suit of armor around the world. That's what we want. And obviously they tried to do that in Age of Ultron, and it didn't work. But that something's got to harken back to that at this point. We're world building in a Spider-Man universe and stuff like that. I mean, we know we're getting Riri Williams. We know we're getting Ironheart. That was an interesting, you know, development. I like that. That's what they're doing. They're not giving up the Iron Man character, but no one's taking the Iron Man mantle. The same way as I don't think they're going to give up on the Black Panther character altogether, but no one's going to take that mantle yet from Chadwick after, you know, his untimely passing. You know, and that was a big announcement for me too. I was shocked with that. I thought we were going to finally, I didn't think they were outright going to say, hey, okay, by the way, we all know that we're still reeling from this actual actor's tragic death. But by the way, Shuri's the new Black Panther. I didn't think it was going to go that way. I like that they're going to, you know, they're going to slowly introduce it this way. But you know, that's where we are now. You know, Endgame was exactly that. It was a reset button hit. And do we still have some characters that are still going to be around and some things that are still going to be felt? Sure. But we're going to look at a totally new, you know, universe. And let's face it, this is the first time with Disney Plus we're already seeing Black Widow ties in with with WandaVision. So now the TV series are canon. So this could mean that, hey, we can get our next Endgame level, you know, situation, and we might get, you know, people from these TV series, which more than likely the one that I'm most excited about is Moon Knight. You know, I mean, as you know, in the films now, like what we wanted with the Netflix universe. Which Tom still had.
Speaking of Netflix, so that's the other thing that it wasn't really announced in the call, but it's been going around the internet lately that Charlie Cox is coming back as Daredevil. He's definitely going to be appearing in Spider-Man. And while Feige didn't say it, you know, when they announced She-Hulk, and obviously everybody got caught up in not just Mark Ruffalo coming back, but also Abomination. That's going to be a big deal. But the fact that they said, oh, she's a lawyer, so you never know who's going to show up, right there I said, okay, Matt Murdock's coming in, at least for one episode, and it's going to be that same guy.
That would be good, actually. That'd be real good.
And I think that also opens up the doors at some point for Vincent D'Onofrio to come back as the Kingpin. I do believe John Barenthal's coming back as the Punisher.
I hope so.
In some way or form. And that would be great, you know, stick with him. And then everybody else, you know, it's up in the air. I know they've talked about bringing back Luke Cage, but they're not sure if it's going to be the same actor. They're going to play
it. It's disappointing to me because I liked it. I liked him.
I liked him too. I think he was phenomenal. He grew on me. But, you know, he's got another show right now. I don't know if he can balance the two.
Right. You know, and you know, Kristen Ritter too. I'd love to see her come back and you know, and especially and especially David Tennant coming back as you know as his character from that series too would be great, you know, in my opinion, because I think he was awesome. You know, I'd love, you know, I mean, look, we're in a position where we're bringing people back to life. We know what's happening. I mean, we have the Loki series. We know that, you know, that was set up in Endgame, but we also know that some way, somehow, it looks like Natasha looks like she's probably coming back too as Black Widow. So we can uncover people's deaths. You know, we can pretty much screw around with the timeline and do whatever we want at this point.
I hope she doesn't come back. In a way, I want her to come back, but I also don't want her to come back. I know. I'm torn. I'm torn with the idea. Because,
you know, I feel like, you know, the when they showed, or at least like talking about Eternals during the call, they didn't show any footage. And I know the movie's been done for a couple of months now. So I'm wondering if there's something tied to Black Widow that they don't want to show yet.
I have a feeling that's the case.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They, you know how Marvel is, especially in this day and age where we have nothing. That trailer would have been everything, and people would have been all over it. So there's a reason why it's not being shown.
True.
Yeah, because we only got like the Disney Plus stuff. I mean, I was shocked we even got any footage of Miss Marvel and Hawkeye. I mean, they've been in production for like a month or 2 months.
Yeah,
they even had anything to show was pretty shocking, as was the Loki series,
which looks awesome, by the way.
It does.
Really intrigues me, like where they're going with that. And we know he's going to be in the next Thor movie.
I hope so. He's got to be.
Yeah.
But
what were you going to say, Tom? I know you were.
I was going to say that we did receive a lot of news on shows, movies. I mean, Spider-Man, huge news. You know, it's unfortunate that Chadwick is gone this year. But there's something that I wasn't sitting well with. I mean, it's lost on me at the moment, but I'm going to remember it before we leave this podcast.
Well, there was one thing. Yeah, there was one thing that actually I was a little bit disappointed at. There was no X-Men announcement. Like nothing in the X-Men universe. And I thought that, but I thought for sure that at least with Fox now, you know, the rights now being with Marvel and Marvel's ability to introduce those characters, I'm just surprised that there wasn't just a nugget, like a teaser, something small. Like I don't even, like I'm not saying that I wanted them to announce like they did with Fantastic Four, announce a brand new Fantastic Four movie, which great. I know Marvel's probably going to finally do this the right way, but I want to see where they're going to go with the X-Men series and with those characters and if they're going to integrate them within those series. And we got nothing of that. And that actually was the only thing I was actually disappointed about.
So this is what I'm hearing from a reliable scoop. Supposedly, there is a plan in the next Doctor Strange to have him at one point revisit the X-Men from the Fox movies. They didn't say who he would interact with. I would assume Professor X. So they would have Patrick Stewart come back, and they would want Hugh Jackman to play Wolverine just one more time. Not be the Wolverine from Logan who dies, but like an alternate version. And there's two things they're considering. Either him teaming up with Deadpool, since we know there's going to be a third Deadpool movie. They confirmed the writers for that. Or they somehow have him pass the torch to a new Wolverine in like a Disney Plus special where Wolverine fights the Hulk, as is his first appearance in the comic books.
Ooh, I'm with that.
So I think there's a possibility there. And I do also think that the X-Men are going to be slowly built up. I think it's going to start with WandaVision, and it's going to like creep into Doctor Strange and maybe even Blade, who knows. But they're going to subtly like have maybe individual characters show up in different movies. Like the idea of Storm being in Black Panther, I know it doesn't seem to make as much sense without Chadwick, but I think that could still be in play. And just like what they did with Phase 1, building up the Avengers, it would slowly build up every character to join the X-Men.
Somebody brought this to my attention, and I went back and I rewatched Black Panther after Chadwick's passing, and it is true, we don't see Killmonger die. So my general is, with Michael B. Jordan, and as fantastic of an actor as he is, and I know he could live up to that role, do you think that they maybe retcon something a little bit and say that, hey, maybe he survived and he's still around, and maybe they worm that back around within this film? We're just concentrating on Wakanda and the stories within Wakanda. Now, if you said Storm is there, hey, maybe Storm goes up and it's like, hey, I need refuge. Something happens, now that we've got at least a little something set up. I don't know if that's a possibility, but I mean, it would be something I'd like to see.
I've thought about that scenario, and I wouldn't put it past me if, because Ryan Coogler is so tight with Michael B. Jordan, he could easily find a way to bring him back. I just don't want it to be a cop-out just because of his popularity, that they feel like he would just pretty much replace Chadwick in terms of being like the lead character now. That's the only thing I really would kind of be a little turned off about.
Hang on 1 second, guys. Just gotta grab my charger.
For me, I think that, maybe it's the idea of a redemption story of how Killmonger, that last scene is one of the most ridiculously powerful scenes in any Marvel film. Just, when, before, Black Panther winds up, taking care of Killmonger. We see that these are two men in the who are on the exact same side of just of an alternate, maybe I'm putting this the wrong way. They're opposite sides of the same coin. They both want the same thing. They both believe in the same way. They just disagreed about how to go about it. So maybe that this could be his redemption story of him coming back, and maybe there's an attack and they need somebody to defend. And he's like, well, give me the suit. And now there's an internal struggle and they don't have enough time, and bam, they have to, I'd be okay with it that way. But like you said, Andre, I don't want it just to be based on his popularity. I would rather it be based upon the fact of it being a good story.
Right. I heard you in the background.
Well, I'm loud for a reason.
So what about Fantastic Four?
I thought it was interesting. They mentioned that John Watts is the director, and obviously he's doing all the Spider-Man movies. And my guess is I think Spider-Man's going to show up in it.
I had the feeling too. As far as casting, does anybody have anybody they specifically would want to see in those roles?
Yeah. Michael B. Jordan as Human.
I knew it was coming.
And also Chris Evans as Human Torch as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happens in Doctor Strange.
I just want 2 Human Torches.
Imagine I would. That's what I want. And now and I know it's animated, but that's what I would really have liked out of I would love that if that What If series was something like that. Like they have Michael B. Jordan and Chris Evans both voicing alternate universe, Human Torches on the screen at the same time. Even if it's animated, it's cool enough for me. I'm down.
Yeah.
True. That What If series looks wild. But definitely, I can't wait to check that out.
But I know, Andre, as far as casting for Mr. Fantastic, I think me and you both have the same idea in mind, and that's been what the internet's been, kind of pitching for John Krasinski from The Office, and I think he would kill it.
Mm-hmm.
He's funny, he's smart, and I think in some weird way he could fill the void of not having Tony Stark.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I was thinking too, because we need that super brain to work with Hulk, and we know that Hulk is now Smart Hulk, and all that kind of thing. So he's like this giant brute of a man. Like you need somebody, like Doctor Strange. He had those surgeon hands. You need somebody like that. And I think that's what John. I think that's what John can bring to that role. And I mean, as far as everyone else. I'd like to see them reach out. Maybe we get some a cool, guy from wrestling to be, the Thing. You know what I mean? I'd be okay
John Cena.
Oh, God.
Listen, John Cena's already tied up in the Suicide Squad, and he's going to have his own series too. So I think he's a little bit busy on the other side, but.
I don't know, man. There's no other wrestlers. The Rock is Black Adam.
Yep.
Batista is already in Marvel. And then there's John Cena,
I had the weirdest idea for Thing, and I don't think they're going to do it, but I thought about it, and I thought it would be out of the box, and it could work. I think Seth Rogen could do it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think because he's going to, if you could get him into a little bit of shape, which he can do. We saw it with the Green Hornet movie, and he can be sarcastic. He can probably maybe hit a little bit rough. I think it would be a different take, but it could possibly work.
I think Good
he's
work.
doing a lot with the boys. That's all, and he's doing a great job with it. So
Or even Carl Urban would be good. Speaking of the boys.
Ooh.
Wait, did you say Seth Rogen was on The Boys?
He's the producer.
Well, he's been
of the show.
guested on both, but he's developed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why you saw that cameo of him in the first season. Like he was producing the fake movie for the Seven.
Yeah. That's why. That was the only scene I could think of, and I said to myself, "Is he like a main character in that show? Have I just been missing him this whole time? What's going on here?"
He's he's also in the first episode of season 2. He does the they when they do the whole thing for Translucent, like he does like a little cameo appearance there too.
Oh, right. He did. When they did the memorial for Translucent.
Right.
Yeah, that was funny. Oh my God, that empty casket.
So great.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. You guys ever read that story about the emperor who had some tailor convince him that this magnificent outfit, and really there's nothing there, it was just invisible? And it was like the emperor was a fool. I can't remember the name.
The emperor has no clothes.
Yeah, and he was walking around naked the whole time, and then his loyal subjects laughed him out of off the stage or whatever the case may be. That scene with Translucent in the coffin was hilarious to me because it's like he's not even there. Oh my God, he had a grenade shoved up his bum. Come on.
He did.
Hilarious.
But yeah, I mean that's a cool idea for that. I mean, outside of that, I don't know. I'm sure they'll find somebody. And my thing is this: a lot of people have been talking about Carl Urban as the next Wolverine, but him and Hugh Jackman are roughly the same age, so I don't know if that's really going to work.
I think they're going to get a shorter actor for Wolverine to make it close to the comic book.
Tom Cruise to play Wolverine.
For his rant, I don't know.
He's still up there.
Iron Man.
Who knows?
But I heard a rumor about who they were looking at for Human Torch. Do you guys watch Stranger Things?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, Tom, you know the guy that plays... Did you watch the last season of the show?
Yes.
Okay, so like the pool boy that got possessed by the creature.
Oh, right, the older brother to the girl who joined the crew.
Yeah.
Really, him, huh?
That's Albert. If you've seen the Power Rangers movie, he played the Red Ranger.
Okay, cool, gotcha. Yeah, I hadn't seen it. I only saw bits and pieces of the movie, but I know what you're talking about.
That was him. Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, if you look him up, his name is Desire Montgomery.
Okay. I'll look him up.
I think he looks the part, and he could play like a hothead.
Appropriate.
Absolutely.
I see what you did there. On other things that are coming out, any word on Black Adam?
Black Adam. They cast a girl in it recently, but I forget what her part was.
I know that.
You know what? Did we lose Albert?
He just froze up a second. He'll probably come back on.
Yeah, he's probably still talking. I think he's gone. Hey, so that means Godzilla versus King Kong to go straight to HBO.
Yeah. Anything that was supposed to come out this year is going to get moved or released simultaneously in theaters and on HBO Max.
At least it's simultaneous. Like, I really want to see that in theaters. I mean, we're talking two of the, and I mean this with in several ways. The two biggest monsters clashing. The two biggest monsters ever on the silver screen, and they're clashing. And I mean, sure, it's happened before, but this is different, with the technology they have nowadays to make these movies. This is going to be different. And I don't want to miss the experience because I don't want to end up watching it on my living room TV,
Same.
want to be in the theater. Hey, he's back. Yeah, I want to be able to sit there and look up in awe and feel the vibration of the floor, you know, and just be in awe and enjoy the movie. So,
well, when you say look up, let's not make it the Justice League experience that we had, because we were really looking up that whole time.
No,
I'm just joking that day. Oh, what about the Snyder Cut?
So that's coming out in March, from what I heard.
Is it? I stumbled upon a video online, and they were showing a lot of scenes I've never seen in that movie. I don't know. It's almost like it's practically a whole different movie.
It is.
Yeah,
that's what I heard.
I'm excited for it.
They shot a lot of new scenes. They're adding stuff that was supposed to be in a previous cut, and they're already talking about a follow-up if it does well.
Nice. Did you guys see the Batman versus Superman Snyder Cut?
I didn't, but I've heard some really good reviews for it.
Did they come out? I haven't seen Batman versus Superman as it was released in theaters. I've only seen the Snyder Cut, and in my mind, I kept saying to myself, why do people rag on this movie so much? Why do people rag on this movie so much? And now I'm realizing that's probably because half the stuff that was really good in there did get cut out. And, it probably made it a little bit harder to follow. But I thought the Snyder Cut was excellent. So if they're going to do the same thing with this, Suicide Squad, they're going to do the same thing now with, Justice League, I'm in. I'd like to see what they got. We're past the idea that we can't get people to sit down and watch a 3-hour, thing. Hamilton has busted through the doors on that. Hamilton was 3 hours, and the world went nuts the second it was on Disney Plus. People are able to sit through things that long. We know they can. And if you give us nerds a 3-hour movie to go to see, we're gonna sit through it.
I mean, we've proven that point as far back as The Watchmen. That was, 3 hours, 11 minutes or something like that? Nobody seemed to mind.
Did you want the rest of this problem?
Yeah.
Look, for me, it's if the story's good and it's engaging, we live in the time of binging. People are watching entire TV series in a sitting, and we're talking about half-hour, 15-episode, things. So people have the attention spans. If the story's good and it's going to keep us there, we're not going anywhere. So give it to us. Don't cut things anymore. I get that, it's the same thing as the radio. The radio wouldn't release Bohemian Rhapsody because they're like, oh, it's too long. Singles are all, can only be like 2 to 3 minutes. This is 5 to 6. And look what happened. You give something of quality out, people are going to seek it out to watch it, regardless of the length.
I think, length is not really so much of an issue for me, but I think when it comes to the way Warner's is going about with DC, I'm more interested in the fact that now, because they realize one day, Crisis of Infinite Earths, we could do that too. We have all these movies that we constantly had to reboot. Let's just go back to them. So now all of a sudden, we're getting Michael Keaton back as Batman for the Flash movie and still keeping Ben Affleck and, Pattinson doing his movie out in London. So now it's like we're really expanding this thing. And it could be really good or it could be really crappy, but I'm interested. Suicide Squad looks good. I think they're figuring it out.
I agree. I think that we're finally in a position where they have the right people at the helm to really do this the right way. I like the fact that they were like, hey, we're going to do the Green Lantern, but we're going to give it to you as a series. We're not going to do it as a movie. Good. That story is a better story to be told, in a longer form series like that. Moon Knight is not a movie character. Moon Knight is very much a series character, and Marvel figured that out, and that's why they're doing it that way. It's why they did everything with the Defenders the way that they did it, because they realized that those characters, while they would work on the big screen, work so much better on the smaller screen. I think DC is starting to realize that. I think they're starting to get a foothold of what they have, who they have, and how they want to execute it. And I think they're finally learning from Marvel. And it's not Marvel's building to the big, Avengers thing, so we're just going to beat them out and we're just going to do the Justice League first. We don't need it first. Let's develop everybody. Let's get everything set. And then let's move on and move forward to make this the best that it can get. And I think that DC's finally doing that.
I mean, they're up to something because they walked into a club and just threw money into the air with Suicide Squad because how many characters are there in that movie? There's like 21 characters.
Yeah, the guy with the shark, like they threw everybody in, including
King Shark is in that. Captain Boomerang is back. I'm not even gonna attempt to name them all. There's way too many.
Yeah.
But what I like is that now this gives it gravity. When Captain Boomerang died in the first one, everybody was like, okay. I mean, that sucks. He was cool, but no, was it Captain? Well, who died? One of them died. I can't remember who died.
The Indian it was died.
Yes. Yes, I'm sorry. You're right.
Wait, who?
But,
that Native American guy.
Oh, I can't remember. Javelin? No, that's in part 2. Hookshot?
Maybe Hookshot. I don't remember his name, unfortunately.
Whoever it was, obviously that's my point. It didn't make a big impression on us. If there's 21 characters and at the end of it, 7 survive, like, damn, holy crap. They just, threw all these guys out and completely wiped them off the map in the first film. I'm with that. Now there's stakes. Now they're a real. I want to see the idea of one of them, in the middle of the mission going rogue, and Rick Flag just goes, and boom, their head explodes. I want to see it. Show me the gravity of the situation. Let there be an example being made. Let 6 or 7 die. They're expendable. That's the idea. They're expendable. Let a bunch die. It gives me levity and gravity in the film. I hope that half of them don't survive to the next one.
I was really hoping Catman would be in there, but I suppose
there's always room for more.
Yeah.
I mean, look, when you talk about getting absurd, James Gunn can do it. That man is freaking talented.
Look at the end of the Ravagers at the end of Guardians 2. I mean,
I still want a Ravagers show. Well, we should get that on Disney Plus too.
I agree.
Get a show. Yeah, for sure. Either that or at least a movie. Stallone. Stallone looked. Oh my God, there's like 2 famous people right then and there that I remember. Stallone and
Ving Rhames.
Ving Rhames was a part of the team. That serpent, that red serpent, he looked like he almost had something similar to Doctor Strange's abilities,
Like and then there's what's his name? The guy from Smallville was in there too.
Who was he?
The villain, almost the guy who was all bluish, he almost looked like Iceman.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that guy. So, and
cool.
Miley Cyrus was the voice of the radio. I just know that that's the case. I don't care whether or not she was in there, but at the very end, remember they have all of them set up. There's that little radio.
That one
thing.
robotic head.
Yeah, that was Miley Cyrus's voice. I know that's a very weird thing that I know that, but it's true.
Number 1 fan right here.
Oh, you know it. Party in the USA. I think that's her. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Wrecking Ball, but that didn't fit. I can't name anything else.
Yeah, that's the one I know.
Yeah. Sorry.
Don't be. But yeah, look, I think that we're at a point now where Marvel has done a great job in figuring out the right way to blueprint the way that they're going to do everything. 2020, kind of threw a monkey wrench into everything, and it didn't seem like they batted an eye. And they said, okay, great. We'll reset. We push back a year. And I think that was the smartest thing they could have done. Just do a complete reset. 2020, take it, throw it in the garbage like all of us want to do, and start anew. And I think that, we're going to see that with WandaVision. I think we're going to see that with Black Widow. I think that, we're going to eventually start seeing all these things come to fruition, and Marvel's going to be out of the forefront again. It's just now up to DC to see if they can catch up.
Yeah, I mean, when they announced Secret Invasion, I was like, oh my God, that's something I want to check out.
Yes.
That's going to be an event.
Yes.
A lot of good material coming from Marvel. DC, you're right. They've learned their lesson for the most part from what I've seen. Hopefully they'll keep going in the right direction, But yeah, they're off to a really rough start. you know. But so far from what I've seen, The Rock seems to be the resurrector of franchises. So we'll see if he can do something with Black Adam.
I think Black Adam's going to be a bigger part of the DC universe. He's not going to be like a side character.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I mean, they may if they casted Dwayne The Rock Johnson as Black Adam. We're talking here. The first thing that comes to mind in my brain about Black Adam being of any assistance towards the heroes is like Infinity Crisis.
Yeah,
and that's like huge right there. We're talking like the battle against like Superboy Prime. We're talking about like these. We're talking about gods who literally created the universe through vibration. Like, it's going to be a huge event if they decide to go that route. But I don't see people holding on for so long because you can't rush that. And from what we've seen, DC rushes a lot of things.
Yeah, they do.
And it's not good, you know. Not
that's
at all.
That's going to be the end of like a 10-year plan.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, Thanos took 10 years, 10 plus years.
Exactly. And look what happened. A lot of our main characters aren't coming back. And that's what you're going to need. You're going to get these guys that are under contract. Eventually, they're going to want to break off and do other things. You want to do something crazy to kill off a bunch of people or to, you know, take some of these characters, you know, and you know, eventually have to recast them or reset your universe. That's what you do. Not like, you know, hey, we've all introduced them. Big threat level, you know, incoming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I don't know what direction DC will go to because their animated stuff, that's pretty much what they've done. Like when you look at Marvel's animated things, it's not very good.
No.
Writing's lousy. The voices, actors are not a good fit for the characters. But their live action,
I'll do all of them.
all right. But the live action stuff is obviously very good. But when it comes to DC, it's quite the opposite. Because I was watching clips from this Darkseid War. I have to see it now. It gets insane. Like, we're talking like pretty much like, we're talking like, for instance, Wonder Woman. She was like dissected and now she's she's literally half of a cyborg, half, you know, Wonder Woman. And she's going to be like that forever. Like, this is it. Like, that's how they wrote it. And so they had to create another Flashpoint because when Flashpoint Paradox came up, they jumped into more or less the New 52. But now they're jumping away from that again, like they did in the comics. So I don't know. When it comes to movies, I don't know if they are trying to revisit some of those old stories because they did it a lot in the animated stuff. They did, what's the word? Oh my God, the movie. It was a big storyline for DC, and they did it animated years ago. When the Alternate Earth one with Owlman and Ultraman and Superwoman.
The one that the three of us recently watched together.
Yeah. I can't remember for the life of me what it was called, but
was it like it was Justice League
Earth 2 or
something like that? Yeah, I don't know. I'll look it up actually.
Thanks. But yeah, it looks like DC's animation department. They visited a lot of these very popular storylines from the comics. Whereas Marvel is visiting all those storylines and throwing it into the movie and giving their own spin on things. So I don't know what direction DC will go as far as their live action because what are they going to retell the stories?
Crisis on Two Earths.
That's what it was. Crisis on Two Earths, yes. Because it was the clashing of the two. So I don't know where DC's going to go, but hopefully we'll see it going somewhere. I mean, Aquaman was great. You know, it was a little rushed, the movie. They're cramming a lot in, but other than that, it was a really good movie.
I mean, they tried to, I guess, get smart by saying, well, we knew Justice League didn't work because we tried to jam everybody up all at once. So Now it's like they want to go back to just individual storylines, like they're now doing with Aquaman and Wonder Woman 84. They did it with Shazam. So I think that's like the right way to go, to say that there is this universe, but we're just going to focus on just this individual character and not bombard it with a bunch of cameos. But I think they're going to take it on a case-by-case basis to see what works and then try to expand on it. If it don't work, then we go back to the drawing board. We don't have to go crazy on it. So it's like people like Ezra Miller's Flash. That's why they decided, we're going to do Flashpoint and tie up all the classic movies together somehow by bringing back the old Batman and, merging the universes. It all depends how they do it. If it gets too convoluted, that's what I worry about. I mean, Marvel has that danger too, but I trust Kevin Feige to tie it all together. But I don't know who is the main person steering the ship right now. It seems like it's Snyder, but then it also seems like it's the other guy, Walter Hamada, who pretty much called the shots on Shazam and, the films afterwards.
Right. And then you have... What's his name?
Oh, who did
No. Who cleaned up Justice League?
Oh, Jeff Johns?
No, it was
Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon. Yes.
Oh yeah, no, he's out.
Good. Yeah. I mean, no offense, Josh, but stick to Marvel.
Look, Joss Whedon did the best he could in a very unenviable position. I don't envy the fact of walking into somebody else's mess and being told to clean up in the middle of it. That's rough. But by that same point, maybe they should have gone with somebody who had a little bit less experience so that they could have just kept to the original vision rather than somebody who, wanted to, rewrite half the movie. Like, it would have been a lot better if instead of Joss Whedon, directing it, it was, I don't know, Andre Joseph.
Yeah,
there you go. Because he would have stayed closer to the script. He would have played it safe, but did the necessary adjustments rather than saying, nah. If my name's gonna be on this thing, I want to put my take on it.
I want to color it up. I'm going to make all these.
Lot of orange
that don't work.
We need a lot of orange. I want the Flash to speak Russian or something.
Yeah.
What always bothered me about that is, look, you can say whatever you want about Zack Snyder and, the way he directs and the way his movies wind up ending. The one thing you can never take away from Zack Snyder is that he has the most visibly appealing films I have ever seen. They're gorgeous. And for Joss Whedon to come in and step all over that, to me, was like, dude, like, come on. Like,
no.
Maybe Zack Snyder's not everybody's favorite, but, man, the guy makes beautiful films to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. He's a good visual stylist.
Very much so. Absolutely. You hit the nail right in the head with that one. And, Joss Whedon just, was like, yeah. I'm gonna spell my name with urine on your wall.
Oh God.
But I mean, the movie wasn't absolutely terrible. It's just there's certain things here and there. But what can you do? I'll see the Snyder Cut sooner better than later.
We should all get together and watch it. I have HBO Max.
Ooh, so do I actually.
Ooh, daddy.
I still don't have it yet, but I could probably download it here.
Yeah, Yeah, so, I mean, there's a couple other new updates, too, that I was hearing about.
Why don't you talk about what you sent me earlier today, which I never got back to text you about?
What did I send you again?
The trailer you sent me?
Which one? I can't remember.
Oh, my God. Why can't I – hold on. I got to look at the name of it.
There was honestly, wait, are you talking about Invincible?
Yes.
Oh, so just saw today the trailer for the show Invincible, and it's based off of a comic book that I've always wanted to get into, but there's just so much material that I said, let me wait till I can figure it out and see how much material there is before I jump headfirst into this particular comic book series. I've heard many things. Mostly what from what I've heard is it's almost a. I hate to compare it to other things, but it's just simpler this way for people who don't know exactly who Invincible is. It's almost like they took Superboy and put him in the place in the same light as Superman, but when he gets into fights, it's like gory, like The Boys. Like it's very real. It's not the cleanest of fights. Like people are gonna get hurt, and now they're coming out with an animated series for it, and it's gonna be on Amazon Prime. They picked it up, which I'm stoked about because never read the comics, seen pictures. The fights look insane. These guys get bloodied up, and the fact that it's animated, even better to me, because for so much bloodiness to happen, you need to have it animated because there's just going to be way too much makeup costs. I mean, The Boys, they pull it off, but The Boys, they contain the violence to a point, you know, not the amount of it, but they contain it. Like I would imagine in the show, if they had it live action, that the main character would literally like just grab someone's arm and rip it off of them and throw the rest of their body through a couple of skyscrapers, you know? And that's really hard to do live action. So the fact that it's animated, I know it's safe and it's going to be awesome that way. Plus, I'm just the guy out of all three of us who love the animated stuff more than the live action.
Andre, you need to watch the trailer, man.
Yeah, I'm going to send you the trailer.
Check it out. Yeah.
Oh, it looks gorgeous. It's going to be crazy. I can't wait for this. Also, The Boys, Albert, I'm so glad you finally started watching it.
Don't spoil anything. As far as I'm going to let everyone know, I just started watching it after the past couple of years of Tom telling me how great it was. Tamara and I started watching it together, and we just started season 2, and we're in love. It's like on the edge of our seats every episode. Everything that they do is seemingly done with purpose and done the right way. It's well written. It's well contrived. It's well executed. It's honestly what I've always said I've wanted out of a superhero show. I've always wanted to, like seeing the superheroes is great. Seeing what goes on behind the scenes of the collateral damage and what has to happen and how they're now on this level of being superstars. To me, it was always been the more intriguing part of the whole scenario, and The Boys nails it.
They do. It reminds me so much of the original RoboCop, just the satire aspect, but also the intense violence that's in there. Yep. And then you still for these scrappy guys, you feel for them and you want to see them succeed. I mean, I think it hits all the right notes.
Yeah, it's really well written, well executed. I like that. I like that they take certain characters and just rub their face into the dirt just for the sake of development of the main characters. I love it. I mean, it's twisted. I mean, there's a couple things I could say right now that hasn't even happened yet to Albert because he hasn't gotten that far into season 2, but my God, it gets wild.
Well, even you talk about just even in season 1, they go to this evangelical, retreat, and here's the guy that's closest to God. Homosexuality is a sin, and they walk into this den where he's making out with 5 different guys. I like that how contradictory they all are. A-Train's supposed to be like this all-American, like the all-American guy, quarterback of the football team of the most popular school in all of America, and he jokes around about the fact that he ran through a human being. I think I swallowed one of her molars. Damn, man. And just Homelander in general is the biggest dick on television. But he's lauded as like this amazing hero, and he's a jerk. Like it hits every note the right way, and even the small, like even like Popclaw, like they, she wasn't a major character, but they made her feel so important that when she got killed, you felt for her. They do everything with purpose, and they do it so well. There's stakes and there's levity to everything they do.
And it's good. It makes everyone important, and that's what makes it even more intense when their face is rubbed into the dirt and they're murdered or just obliterated, spaghettification, whatever, because, you got superheroes doing it, so why not? I'm pretty sure Popclaw popped a lot more than just a claw, Pop that
well, look what you did to our poor landlord.
I know, my God. My God.
Like a watermelon.
Woo! Like a watermelon. Oh, man. That's rough. Poor guy. He just wanted his rent. So, what else is coming out?
What a great show. And look, if we're going to, this is what I think, that I like that we got this, because we're not going to get this out of Marvel. Yes, they are announcing a tier on Disney Plus for a more mature audience, and that's great. I appreciate that, but we know we're not going to get the level of we're going to shove an explosive up this guy's ass and blow him sky high. Like that's not going to happen. So I'm so glad we have the boys to represent like this depraved side of all of us, of the things that we've all said, behind closed doors, of saying, man, wouldn't it be cool? Like I know Superman's a good guy, but how cool would it be if he just lasered somebody, through their eyes into the back of their skull, like Homelander does to Stillwell at the end of the first season? Like it's an amazing, concept that they developed, and I love every second of it.
Wow. Yeah, you'll definitely be like yearning for the third season once you're done with season 2.
I can't wait. Tamara's probably coming over tomorrow night because we're going to the city on Saturday. So I'm excited about getting back on the horse and getting back into it.
Yeah, so I also wanted to bring up Star Wars because I thought those announcements they made on the call were very interesting too.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I mean, I think there were some that I think we kind of saw developing, and then there were some where I was like, I didn't, like the Rangers, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be Gina Carano's character getting her own show,
which is cool.
Yeah,
definitely cool. I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fan of her personally, but I think she kills it in the series. She's a great character. She was like that whole first season. She was phenomenal. I really like that. I like that they're doing an Ahsoka, spinoff. I like that Rosario Dawson tweeted
she was perfect
years ago that she wanted to be Ahsoka, and now it came to fruition. So cool, so cool. I love seeing stuff like that. But yeah, their world. More than anything else, we're finally getting a fully immersed Star Wars world building event. We're now starting to see a little bit of everything. Well, we're going to start seeing a little bit of everything now with all these new announcements.
I've said for a while now, I feel like The Mandalorian, especially the stuff they've done this year, it's what I really wanted from the recent movies. Not that the recent movies are terrible. I've enjoyed them in different ways, and then I have my issues. But I felt like for somebody that had a little bit of interest in like the expanded universe books and just that lore, I felt like I got what I really wanted out of it. And so much so that I know, like with Mandalorian, they're going to be making retro action figures in the style of the old school Star Wars toys. So I can't wait to pick up some of those. I want the Carl Weathers figure. That I have to have on my shelf.
Absolutely.
It's about time he gets a toy.
Yeah, agreed. And that's my that's my thing. Look, they took Star Wars, and then this is what Tom brings us up all the time about the Marvel movies. Marvel movies aren't super, so much so as superhero movies as they are other kinds of movies with a superhero element. And I like the fact that, just the same as, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like Winter Soldier is a spy movie. It just so happens that Captain America is, and Winter Soldier are both heavily superpowered, but that's a spy film. And we took The Mandalorian and we took this character and we made a spaghetti western set in the Star Wars universe. And I love that. And I want to see more of that. And I think that if Star Wars is going to start expanding in that way, I don't need a full-scale new Star Wars movie for another 3 or 4 years. Keep me active on the series. Keep me active on Disney Plus. I'm fine with it. And then if you want to do a big blow-off with all those characters and do a big film, and that's going to jumpstart your next project, I would be cool with that alone.
Yeah, I think they're doing it exactly the right way, just by focusing on those little gaps. And on one hand, yes, you get something like the Obi-Wan series, where you'll see the gap between the prequels and the original trilogy, and having Hayden Christensen come back as Darth Vader. So he's not fully Darth Vader yet. Like, he's still maybe caught up in between. That I like. And then also, like I said, with Mandalorian, we're not having to go back to the Skywalkers or Han Solo or anybody. We're in the Lando series. That's going to be interesting. But, like focusing on like completely original characters, and then maybe every now and then sprinkle some familiar faces that you've only seen in the background of the movies.
And I'm even okay. Look, I know we're going away from the whole Skywalker saga and everything like that, but I'm okay with them doing things pre the Skywalker saga. Like, give me, a quote-unquote episode 0. Let me see how Count Dooku turned his back on Yoda. Let me see how, we got, the rise of the Empire. Let me see all that, Let me see where, how this all started with Palpatine. All that. I want to see, like, that whole organization come together. I'd be cool with that. I would prefer it to be animated, because I think it would be better that way for a viewer, or done in a series so that it's not a standalone film like they try to do, with Solo. Like, Solo could have been so much better. Alden Ehrenreich, in my opinion, was built for series work anyway. I think he would have been so much better as Han Solo. If that Han Solo movie was a Han Solo series, would have been way better. And I would have loved to have. I'd love to see something like that with Episode 0. Give me a prequel to everything we've seen in Star Wars, and show me how that whole universe kind of got its start. I want to see Yoda start. Like, I want to see it. I want, we have the whole, start a baby Yoda. Let's go from the beginning.
Yeah, do Knights of the Old Republic. I feel like that's got to be coming.
Absolutely. I mean, Darth Revan, Darth Malik, bring them out. Let me see them.
Yeah.
I heard they were gonna bring that guy, because I'm not super big into Star Wars like you guys are. I mean, I do enjoy it, but I heard they're gonna take the guy from the video game who's really powerful and make him canon.
I forget. I know which game you're talking about. I think that would work. And you know what? I want an animated Shadows of the Empire. I've wanted that for years.
Yeah, I'm totally with that. I'm sorry, I had to mute myself. Yeah, 100%. This is an audio podcast, Tom. Nobody's going to get your damn jokes.
Oh, so nobody can see the blown-up picture of myself behind me?
Oh, they'll see it.
It's a video podcast. Great.
I had to.
Well. They will now. You psycho.
Just in general, too, with the Disney in general, there was a lot of stuff I was shocked and actually kind of hyped up about. So we're getting, like, the classic movie Willow is coming back as a series. Yeah. Indiana Jones, I'm not too crazy about. I think Harrison Ford's way too old. I think Kingdom, as divisive as it was, it should have just stopped there. I don't think you need a 5th movie.
The 4th one was quite a stretch. I mean, the guy survived the nuclear blast in the beginning, which was a stretch too. It was still pretty cool though.
Not even that. It's just the whole, like, Shia LaBeouf swinging on the vines and the CG. There was some stuff I wasn't too crazy about in it, but I didn't think it was terrible. You know, it's still like it was the only Indiana Jones movie I saw in the theater, so I did enjoy it. But I can understand the backlash because it didn't fit the way the other movies did.
Well, you know, sorry, I'm looking. I saw a picture of myself just now. What's it called? What about The Matrix Part 4? They're coming out with all these movies again, you know, like an encore almost.
Well, yeah, it's Hollywood these days. They're just running out of original ideas, and that's the thing that I think you're going to be seeing more of is because of Marvel, because of DC, because of Star Wars. I think the theaters are going to be overrun with pretty much familiar properties. You'll still get maybe a smaller movie here and there. You'll still get your horror films that can be made cheap. But overall, they're going to really just save like anything original for Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, and all the other platforms for streaming because they don't want to take as many chances on a movie that, you know, nobody knows and will not guarantee that it's going to be a big franchise versus something like well, in the case of any Marvel movie that they believe, okay, as long as it's got the Marvel label, people are going to run out opening weekend and it's going to make $1 billion.
Right.
So, like, The Matrix is just one of those things where, you know, I think people kind of missed it enough to feel like we can do another one and maybe undo some of the damage of the third movie because I know people weren't happy with the way that ended. But at the same time, I don't like the idea of that being released on HBO Max and in the theater the same day. That's a theatrical movie. That is not a streaming movie.
I know. Hey, did we lose Albert?
I think we did.
Yeah, he just sent me a text. He's coming back on, I believe.
Yeah, I seen that.
Oh, it froze on him again. It happens. Yeah, man. So it's gonna get real interesting this year. A lot of material is gonna come out. You know, I was a member of AMC Stubs, and I would pay $20 a month just so I can go to movies however many times I wanted. And I missed out this whole year. I mean, granted, they weren't charging me still, but I have a sneaking suspicion that the movies it's going to be way more expensive so they can catch up on all their losses. You know?
It's possible, but at the same time, if it's going to be a situation where we're going to get a blockbuster every week because of all the movies that they couldn't put out this year, it might actually work better that way.
It's possible. I hope so, at least, you know. I heard,
But do we now think that might be sensory overload? That now there's a great movie out every week, and now people aren't going to want to shell out the money to pay for a great movie every week. You know what I mean? Like this could be a good and bad situation.
So you're predicting that most of the general public will have like movie theater fatigue sooner.
I wouldn't even say fatigue. I think it'd be more like oversaturation. And it makes it harder for those films to break even at the box office. I mean, it's going to be hard now,
and especially the
putting out.
Yeah, you're right.
Right, because we don't have to worry about. Look, we know Wonder Woman, even if it's released in theaters and on HBO Max, is going to do well. Even in theaters, it's probably going to, it's still going to do well. The problem we have is if, tomorrow three of us decide to put together a film and we film it, and then, in 2021 it's released on a slate where there are now every movie that we didn't get to see in 2020 is being released on. That's going to screw with us because who's going to go see the Andre, Albert, and Tom movie over, the Eternals or Guardians of the Galaxy or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my concern.
Yeah, weirdly enough, this would have been like the perfect year for any independent filmmaker to get their stuff out, because if they can't play the big films, why not just play something that's shot well, and you at least maybe get enough people you can make a little bit of a buck. You don't even have to make $100 million. Make $1 million on a movie that you spent maybe like 20, 50 grand on, and you're still going to make money as long as it's marketed properly.
Right. You can still use that to just finance whatever you're doing next.
Yeah, and instead they just re-release all the same old stuff, and that's everything. Like every announcement I'm seeing now is like not just we're going to remake this movie or bring back this franchise we haven't done in like 20, 30 years, 40 years. TV shows that were from the 80s and 90s are coming back, and they're doing reunion specials and such. So they're going for the IP left and right because they don't trust the new stuff.
That's wild because you're right. Because
and that might be
the question. Go ahead.
No, again.
I was gonna say, didn't the Fresh Prince do like a return to a TV special or something like that? I missed it.
Yeah, they did a reunion special with the original cast. However, they're rebooting the show as a drama, so that's definitely happening for Peacock channel.
Really?
Yeah. I forget the filmmaker's name, but he did like a sizzle reel of what the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air would look like if they did it as a drama rather than as a sitcom. And it got such a good reaction that Will Smith saw it and said, I'm going to hire this guy to reboot the series.
Damn. This is the first I'm hearing about that. That's great.
They're doing a Friends reunion also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're doing a Friends reunion also. They're doing a lot of these things. They're bringing back, we already see it with, Roseanne. I mean, obviously she's not on her own show anymore, but the Connor, we've been deservedly so, but whatever. Let's not get into that there. But, we're seeing these, these things. Magnum PI got rebooted.
Yeah.
Hawaii Five-0 got rebooted. We're seeing this more and more, and to a point, like, I don't care. Give me something new. Give me something exciting. That's why I like The Boys. It's new.
Yeah, The Boys.
A whole bunch of superheroes we've never heard of.
Mm-hmm. And those shows, they take the stuff that we love and they spin it on its head to make it original.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I watch My Hero Academia. They did the same thing. It's all new. Albert's shaking his head right now.
I'm shaking my head because anytime I go to Tom's house, which is very often, I walk in and 95% of the time he's either cooking or playing Super Robot Wars or watching anime, and sometimes all three at the same time.
Something. I can do it. I can multitask easily.
I've seen you.
Well, listen.